and welcome to my three-part video on GLP-1 usage. I'm going to make three videos. The first is going to be my video of what my journey was that led me to that decision to start taking GLP-1. And then the second one's going to be the start and the process, how I prepped for it, what I did during it, and some of the side effects I experienced, which some were very significant. Some of the very rare side effects that they tell you about, I got them. But I wanted to talk about that as well. So if you're thinking about it, you can kind of see what those side effects were, how it affected me, and what the outcome was. And then I wanted to, of course, talk about where I ended up, how I stopped taking the GLP-1. And then the third video, I really want to create what I'm doing to maintain that weight. According to a 2026 analysis published in the BMJ and reported by Reuters, people who stop weight loss medications regain weight at about 1 pound per month on average. And for GLP-1 medications specifically, that number is closer to nearly 2 pounds per month. Most people return to their starting weight within about a year and a half. And it's not just the weight. Any improvements in things like blood pressure and cholesterol also return to the pre-treatment levels. So the real question is, what can we do? How can we maintain that weight loss and not gain it all back? I'm creating these videos while in my gym, and I think it's important to do that for myself because the gym has turned into a new living space for me. I use the gym to build my confidence, to create the new routines, and to create the new habits in my life to replace some of the old habits of watching TV, or I did used to play video games. I'll talk about why I don't do that anymore. There's a few reasons. But some of the things that have changed in my life since taking GLP-1 is removing from other living spaces into a gym workout space or an exercise or a living space that you're able to get away from all that noise. And it's been extremely helpful. If you have a space like that that you're able to create, I would encourage you to do that as well, especially as you prep going into your journey and taking GLP-1. So from the time I was about 25 years old, 28 years old, I started gaining weight. And it's just life. I started having kids. You got a full-time job. I traveled a lot for my job, and I would just start eating. I was an emotional eater. I still am an emotional eater. And so I would eat if I was happy. I would eat if I was sad. I would eat if I was depressed. I would eat if I was around people. I would just eat. Didn't matter. And when you wake up every morning and for the entire time you're awake, all you do is think about food, people who experience that will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's overwhelming. It's all powerful. It's I, the only thing I can compare it against is an addiction. All I wanted was to either eat food or fight myself not to eat food. And that's a bad place to be. And then I just wouldn't exercise. I'd start to exercise and then I'd stop. And then I'd start and then I'd stop. So never really a good, consistent routine. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd feel terrible about myself. I'd just gained 10 pounds over the last couple of months. I'd want to lose weight. And so I'd start the day off by being really positive that today's going to be the day. Today I'm going to start, I'm going to lose this weight. And I would do really well for the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, maybe possibly even third or fourth week. And then I'd either be traveling, eat a lot of food, I'd have a weekend, there'd be a birthday party, and I would just eat a lot of cake and cookies and just out of control. Wake up the next morning, and I'd be 4 pounds heavier and think, oh my gosh, I just gained 4 pounds of fat. I'm terrible. I'm a loser. And then I would just stop my diet. I also tried a couple other fads out there. I just think they're all fads. I don't care what it is, what the program is, what they're telling you. It's a fad. Unless you change who you are, how you eat, your habits, it's a fad. It's not going to stick around. Um, I did Weight Watchers. I did different types of, drink only supplements, whatever it is. I failed at all of them. There'd be some success. I'd lose a little bit of weight, but overall, I would fail. So I continued to gain weight to the point where in 2019, 2020, going into COVID, I got laid off from my job and I reached a point where I was about 280 pounds. And I was very overweight, very unhealthy. I didn't feel like I had the energy to do anything. I didn't like who I was. And I would think about food from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. All I did was think about not eating, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat, don't eat. And then I would. And then I'd feel like a failure. My self-esteem just plummeted. So this trend continued year after year after year. And the GLP-1s have been around for a while for diabetics, and I didn't know that even existed. And then I started hearing talk of GLP-1s back in 2024, 2023, so that October, November timeframe of 2023. And the one I started hearing a lot about was Zepbound. And I did hear about Ozempic, but Zepbound was just getting approved for Eli Lilly. And I heard that the side effects were minimal. It was more successful, that people were losing more weight on the Zepbound. And so I started looking at all the different options, and I decided that Zepbound was probably the best route for me to minimize those side effects. And it was a little scary. I didn't know what to expect. The other factor when it comes into GLP-1s at that time, it's a little different now. They're starting to reduce prices and so forth. But at that time, the Zepbound for the 1 month 4 vial prescription was about $1,200 a month. So extremely expensive. And if I was going to do this, I needed to really evaluate whether or not that was something that was going to be conducive to not only my budget, but my our current lifestyle would have to change a little bit because that's a lot of money. So after that research, I went ahead and decided, well, I'm going to go see my doctor. So I went to my primary care physician. And at that time, I probably had lost a little bit of weight just trying to prep going into taking that. And so I went in, did a lot of blood work. And as I talk about in some of my other videos, I absolutely recommend, and again, for liability's sake, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a trained physician or trainer or anything like that. This is just my journey, my experience. And in my experience, getting that blood work before I started anything was critical because the side effects and what occurred after that, have those markers to compare against was extremely important because then I would know what was going on with my health. I was on GLP-1 for about a year and a half. I lost a significant amount of weight. I'm currently 5'11", 190 pounds. I'm very consistent with my exercises. I exercise every single day. I eat lots of protein, which is also going to be a critical part when in this video series when I start talking about some of the important things I did to ensure that I maintained good fat loss and maintained my muscle, and what I did to increase my muscle size. So as I wrap up video number 1 out of this, hopefully 3-part, maybe more, we'll see what happens. When I make the second video, I'm really going to dive into how I started the GLP-1, what my doses were, how often I took the doses, how it affected me, where it led me, how often I changed doses, where I peaked on the dose, when I started to backtrack on my doses, and when I just started to maintain a certain amount of dose until I can build my confidence up, that I was confident enough that I could do it without taking the GLP-1, which was extremely difficult psychologically to reach a point where I felt comfortable and confident that I can continue this journey of maintaining and the consistency
without falling back to my old self. And when you have those habits, those bad eating habits, that bad health habits for most of your life, I mean, from the time, again, when I was 25 up to when I'm almost 60, overcoming that psychologically is so difficult, was so powerful. I felt that if I didn't take it, I would immediately gain 30 pounds in the first week. It was that strong. Just I didn't have the confidence. And unfortunately, I was relying on that to kind of help me get to that point. So I'll be talking about that as well. And more than likely, there's many of you that have taken the GLP-1 that experience that same thing. And there's probably many of you that are thinking about taking the GLP-1 that maybe my experience and my thought process going into it may help you decide one way or the other whether it's a good choice for you.